Captain Forrest here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over both these combatants to see who would win, more often not in a cross-verse situation, Ultimate Spider-Man versus rubyrose. If you guys are new to my channel, please leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for the content. Also, just a couple of shoutouts. Shoutouts to Frogger, he was a huge help with the Ultimate Spider-Man section and some of the updates, and shoutouts to Frisk, he was also a huge help with the RWBY section and some of her updates too. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead, start off and talk about Ultimate Spider-Man, see what he brings to the table. Now, in terms of attack potency, Ultimate Spider-Man would scale above the likes of Ultimate Cap because Spider-Man was able to one-shot Ultimate Rhino. This very same Ultimate Rhino was able to hurt and send Ultimate Cap flying. This same Ultimate Cap was able to take an attack from Titanium Man, whose attacks can mount through the Earth's crust, which was calced around the small city level plus ranges of attack potency. Very impressive. Now, Spider-Man would also scale above the likes of Ultimate Electro, as Spider-Man has shown to physically damage him. Ultimate Electro himself has shown that he's very capable of hurting the likes of Ultimate Thor with his electricity. This is impressive because Ultimate Thor was able to generate a storm which was calced around the large mountain level ranges of attack potency. Very impressive. Now we can get Spider-Man higher, folks. Ultimate Spider-Man would scale to the likes of Ultimate War Machine, as Ultimate Cap was able to damage War Machine's armor, and this very same War Machine fires off his repulsor blast to kill some of these terrorists, which the energy outputted to do this feat was calced around the island level ranges of attack power, so you can easily upscale Spider-Man to this, which is very impressive. Now, a dying Spider-Man is capable of harming Green Goblin, who absorbed Ultimate Human Torch's flames. This is impressive because the Human Torch performs a supernova, which this feat in question was calced around the country levels of attack potency. We can even get this much higher than this because in Ultimate Power, the Human Torch has shown that he's able to easily one-shot Dr. Spectrum. This very same Dr. Spectrum and Hyperion performed a feat where they both clashed. There are two calcs for this feat ranging from large country to multi-continental, so you can get Ultimate Spider-Man to those ranges too. Spider-Man with his symbiote was also noted to be faster and stronger with his symbiote on too. All previous abilities are enhanced while wearing the symbiote suit. Wearing the symbiote suit can cause a transformation, making the user undergo a virile state. The user can create tendrils out of their body. The suit grants the user type 3 immortality, as the person inside this Venom suit can regenerate from being reduced to a puddle. Venom himself, with the suit, regenerated from having his teeth smashed by Spider-Man, as well as his chest being ripped apart. The suit allows the user to change his body into a liquid form, and the suit can also absorb people and other symbiotes, such as a Carnage symbiote, and it also absorbed a police officer. The suit has size manipulation, as the user can change his size to be larger than before. The suit has resistance to vibration manipulation, as it was completely unaffected by Shocker's attack, and the suit also has resistances to diseases, which is very impressive. Ultimate Symbiote Spider-Man was able to battle the Ultimates, no-selling Iron Man's repulsor blasts, and this same Iron Man is able to harm Ultimate Hulk with his weapons. He was able to yeet Captain America into next week and somewhat fight Thor and took attacks from him, but was ultimately beaten by his lightning. Nonetheless, all of this is a very impressive showing and a very impressive feat overall for Ultimate Symbiote Spider-Man. So that's going to round up Ultimate Spider-Man's AP. Let's talk about his speed. So for Spider-Man, he should easily have massively hypersonic plus speed. He was able to dodge Electro's lightning, no problem. Electro's lightning is actually described in the Ultimates guidebook to be actual lightning too. Now, another range we can give Spider-Man is easily FTL. Spider-Man can scale to the likes of Dr. Spectrum, who was fast enough to intercept Hyperion's heat vision, which was calced around the 1.768 times the speed of light, aka FTL. Anaconda, who is one of the members of the Serpent Squad, is fast enough to react to Human Torch throwing a fireball, and she grabs it. This is very impressive because Human Torch is fast enough to tag Dr. Spectrum with his fire, yet this same Anaconda was too slow to react to Spider-Man and gets tagged by Spider-Man's web. So some pretty decent higher ranges for Spider-Man. Okay, so that's going to conclude Spider-Man's stats. Let's go over some of his exotic abilities and resistances. So Spider-Man has his signature Spider Sense, which warns him of incoming danger before it occurs, which allows him to respond before the threat. He also has his spider webs, where he uses them to web sling and incapacitate his opponents and subdue them. Spider-Man can create after images, Spider-Man can stick and crawl up walls. Spider-Man also demonstrates his quick, swift, and acrobatic skills in combat to keep his foes on their toes. Peter is very tactical with his webs, displaying quick thinking skills such as creating a trampoline to stop his fall with his webs. So in order to determine where RWBY would range in terms of attack potency, we must address some of her feats and scaling throughout the verse. Now in volume 6, RWBY is capable of knocking down Kordavin's mech with just a strike. This very same mech can produce a kinetic energy of 1.56 kilotons of TNT, which would equate to small town level, which is very impressive. Another feat that comes to mind was the time where Team RWBY fought against the Ace Operatives. RWBY herself was able to physically hurt Harriet and also intercept Marrow's attack. This is impressive, as the Ace Operatives are General Ironwood's elites and are heralded for their remarkable abilities and performance in combat. In fact, they demonstrate their abilities and power against Penny, as they are able to damage Penny in combat. This very same Penny who's strong enough to push Amity's ship into orbit, which was capped around the small city levels of attack potency, which is very impressive. This would also apply to RWBY's durability, as she's able to take a hit from Harriet too. There is another way to get RWBY even higher than this, folks, but first we must address a few things. Cinder was able to eventually destroy Ozpin's barrier. This is very important because this leads us to talk about the famous feat that occurred in the end of volume 8, where Oscar uses the kinetic energy that was stored from Ozpin to destroy the monster entirely in a huge explosion. We can determine the monster's durability based on the kinetic energy he produces, comparing the distance it moves to get to Atlas's city and the overall mass / volume of the whale, which gives us a value of 4 teratons, or enough to blow up a small country, which is very impressive. Now Oscar's barrier took the blast, but how much would that be precisely? This is where we use inverse square law state to find the amount of energy it took from the distance Oscar was from the blast. Using this feat from earlier, we get a value of 171.73 gigatons, aka large island level. This is all important because Team RWBY faces off against Cinder. RWBY, Blake, Weiss were able to withstand attacks from Cinder, so at the very least Team RWBY's durability would range around the large island level ranges of attack power due to them being able to take attacks from Cinder, which is pretty impressive. Now as for speed, we've seen RWBY being able to react to Cinder's attacks in combat. This is impressive, as Cinder herself has shown to dodge Penny's laser beams. The first one, which was calced around 11% the speed of light, aka relativistic speeds, and the second, Laser Blast, which was calced around the 1.95 times the speed of light, aka FTL reaction speed. And Pyrrha has her own feat as well, as she was able to intercept Penny's beams with relative ease, which was calced around the 3.33 times the speed of light, aka FTL. And Ruby Rose herself, in the Justice League / RWBY comics, is able to tag Pyrrha. Also, just in case anyone asks, yes, the RWBY / Justice League comic is canon. There is another feat that RWBY can scale to, and that feat in question was when Winter intercepts a laser from Ironwood, which was calced around the 4 times the speed of light, aka FTL. Ironwood himself can react to this same Winter who react to his laser blast, and RWBY is comparable to Team Juniper, who can easily react and fight Ironwood himself. So RWBY can easily scale a little higher into the FTL ranges, which is very impressive. Now with stats concluded, let's move over to something in the verse of RWBY called Aura. Aura is the very power source in RWBY itself, generated from the user's soul aura. For all users in RWBY, form a passive force field around them to defend against attacks from opposing targets. Aura can be used to make localized barriers to block attacks, as shown by Ren. Aura can allow the user to heal from injuries, such as Jean healing a scar on his face. Neon was able to heal from her black eye, and Weiss, after being aura amped, healed from being stabbed in the torso, and judging from the spot where the javelin spear was thrown, it more than likely pierced through her liver, so he was able to even hit. Aura can even heal things like that, which is pretty impressive. In volume 6 episode 1, this huntsman was able to heal from his arm being twisted after being aura amped by Jean. It also provides resistance against heat and cold environments. Characters like Yatsuhashi and Neon withstood a geyser's air pressure, which can reach approximately around 210 Fahrenheit, which is very hot. Characters like that, due to their aura, can be protected from harsh heats, like that's enough to burn your skin. Flint's aura can also withstand the stream of lava, which tends to have a temperature of 2200 Fahrenheit, so there's some really good decent heat resistances due to natural uses of aura from all these characters. Now, projected aura can also allow them to survive the cold tundra of Atlas. Without heating or projected aura, the cold of Solitus can kill you within a matter of hours. In the world of Remnant, it showcased it was so cold it froze most Grim instantly, meaning absolute zero temperatures. The aura can even be argued to be able to withstand temperatures even to those degrees, which is very cold. Absolute zero temperatures can instantly freeze things. That touches the atmosphere, of course. So there's some really good things you can take it far with the auras in RWBY. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move over to RWBY's semblance and talk about her semblance called Petal Burst. So Penny, I'm going to go ahead and let you explain to the audience what RWBY's semblance does.
RWBY is capable of traveling at an extreme velocity from one point to another by breaking herself down to her molecular components, thus negating her mass and then reassembling them at the destination, theoretically making it possible for her to transport all of us in the same way, as mass no longer matters. What? You can use your semblance on all of us.
That's right, folks. You heard Penny. RWBY can basically utilize her semblance in many different ways and for specific situations and purposes. For example, RWBY can morph herself into multiple rose petals and can allow RWBY to maneuver around her targets and split her molecules to create a duplication. Due to the velocity of her petal burst and how fast it moves, this is RWBY's go-to for blitzing her opponents or to get to places faster. She's used this ability in order to escape Harriet's grasp and utilize her restraints against her. RWBY propels herself in the air and darts around the enemies and tries to become quite unpredictable with how she moves to basically make her opponents feel confused and basically disorient them. RWBY also accelerated so fast that she was able to cause water to heat up. RWBY was able to create a small tornado that with her sheer speed alone was able to create a tornado and literally sucks up every bit of debris and was able to push back all the students and force them on the wall. Pretty impressive. RWBY can even use this to engulf enemies into a vortex, sweeping them in the air. RWBY can also maneuver around objects and items, for example, just moving around like attacks, avoiding them at fast speeds. RWBY has also shown to evade incoming gunshots from opponents, so she can literally just use this to basically dodge at any type of angle just to get closer or to just straight up avoid the attacks. And as mentioned by Penny, RWBY can also break down other molecule structures with her semblance as well. RWBY has also shown that her petal burst can be very useful in terms of landing safely after falling from like high places. So it kind of gives her some pseudo flight in a way. It's very impressive and it's very useful in dangerous situations where it comes to high places. Lastly, she's finessed people with her semblance, such as causing Neo to almost fall off the platform by pseudo flying from underneath it, and pushes her when on the other end. So that's going to round up RWBY's semblance. Let's talk about a unique trait that RWBY possesses called the Silver Eyes. The Silver Eyes in RWBY is a power blessed from the God of Light, which allows RWBY to flash a white light from her eyes that can be used for a multitude of things. This ability, as for now, has only been shown to work on the Grimm, who are dark entities, but there are some speculations as to it potentially affecting other things. But regardless, the effects of the Silver Eyes can basically petrify Grimm, such as the time she turned a wyvern and a giant leviathan into stone. RWBY's Silver Eyes also activates via her thoughts and a strong motivation to preserve life and protect those she cares about. The light not just only petrifies the Grimm, it can blind them and it can also vaporize them completely. Now, we shouldn't forget about RWBY's weapon, Crescent Rose. RWBY's Crescent Rose is a high caliber sniper scythe having two modes, with the sniper mode for long range combat and a scythe mode for close as well as mid range combat too. She's shown to cut through a horde of wolves in mere moments and tear apart Nevermore's wings, which were several times her size. RWBY has used the scythe's edge to mess with the footing of a Beringal Grimm. RWBY also gained an upgrade during Atlas, where Crescent Rose can now rotate 180 degrees for more precise strikes, and the scythe can be spanned in a 360 degrees rotation to defend against enemy fire. Another modification for RWBY's scythe, which is the sniper mode, which can fire shotgun bullets to shoot down her targets. She's showing she can fire at a nevermore from hundreds of feet away in the air, and RWBY used the recoil of her gunshots to slow her descent in the air too. RWBY also uses an assortment of different dust in battle. She carries fire dust, which can ignite fireballs to incinerate targets. Ice dust, RWBY can also use ice dust as her bullets, so she can basically fire them at her opponent, and it basically freezes any part of their body that comes into contact with it. RWBY also uses gravity dust too. She can propel herself forward and basically use this in order to get closer to her opponents and slice them up in quick succession. And lastly, the lightning dust, which shoots out electricity based bullets to stun opposing forces or opponents. Okay, so that's going to round up both of these combatants. I'm going to go ahead, give my thoughts on who I think wins more often than not in a crossfire situation. I must address the ranges when it comes to AP. Now, if we use the higher interpretations of AP, multi-continental and country, Spider-Man takes those categories very easily. The low end category, Spider-Man would take large town in comparison to RWBY's small town. That's a huge one-shot difference. So AP in that regard would pretty much go to Spider-Man with the higher interpretations. He'd also take small city level as well. He's higher into that tier 2. The main tier that RWBY would probably take is large island in comparison to Spider-Man's island level. The difference is astronomically big, and it's definitely a one-shot difference. When we look at speed, for example, FTL, you know, the massively hypersonic stuff, they're pretty relative. However, when it comes to FTL, there is a bit of a slight difference. I would say if we use the higher interpretations of those calcs, RWBY is slightly faster, I'd say at least 2 times, so she is a little bit faster than Spider-Man. However, Spider-Man does have precognition, so that could help him, at least give him time to think and come up with a strategy in order to defeat RWBY. Now, RWBY does have some things in her arsenal, some win con. She has her crescent rose. She has an assortment of dust she could use to take Spider-Man out. So she has lightning dust, which obviously lightning itself negs durability, so that could be an issue. She does have different types of dust too, gravity dust, and she could use like fire dust and ice dust and things of those nature, so that could be definitely an issue. And she does have her semblance as well, so she could just use her rose petals, and that also makes her very fast too. So this could literally be a difference. She could definitely get a hit in first if she tags Spider-Man due to the slight gap. And if we give her the large island level stuff, then I think she would win that category more often than not. But everything else, even with all these like assets that RWBY has, it's not going to be enough due to Spider-Man having higher AP. And in character, RWBY, she likes to dart towards her opponent. She tries to slice them with her crescent rose, or she will shoot, of course, dust. She'll use bullets, shoot at her opponents, and obviously if there is a distance we give them, if we use standard battle assumptions, Spider-Man does have time to kind of calculate and do something. So it's not like it's not really like a huge speed blitz, but RWBY will have the advantage slightly. She would probably get an attack in or two. However, once she starts to realize that her crescent rose isn't doing any damage, completely getting swatted away or bouncing off Spider-Man is just gonna literally just beat the crap out of RWBY due to the higher AP. She would literally get choke slammed and grabbed and beaten up to a bloody pulp, and the spider webs would do the job too as well, because Spider-Man does have spider webs too, of course. But more often than not, I see this kind of coming down to fisticuffs with Spider-Man. Of course, he's going to use his precog, he's going to use his endurance, he's going to use his durability and take some hits. The lightning could be an issue, but Spider-Man's a trooper. He has really good tenacity, really good pain tolerance. This dude was literally fighting Ultimate Green Goblin, who was amped by Human Torch while he was dying. Like, Spider-Man was literally fighting while he was dying. So that's some crazy willpower right there. So his willpower is very impressive. So I definitely think it'll be enough. It'd probably be a 2-shot due to the fact that the semblance does act as an armor, so it will protect RWBY, but the aura will completely disintegrate once Spider-Man punches it, and then he just needs to get one more good dig, and that's going to be night-night. So more often than not, I gotta give victory to Ultimate Spider-Man, looking at all these ranges and all the possibilities and the probability of how the fight would go down, favoring Spider-Man more often than not. Higher AP, just way too much of a monster. RWBY struggles against characters who have higher AP, and there's not much she can do, especially if it comes down to speed. Again, she can only use her semblance for so long, and if that does become a thing where it becomes like a battle of attrition, that's going to be an issue. She's going to be running on thin ice. I gotta give it to Spider-Man. Thank you guys for watching. Guys, enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for the content. It's been real. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.